This was actually a big issue for me because I like to have pre-built Android SD cards that I can swap from one device to another depending on what handheld I want to play. What is going on, guys? If you are new here, my name is Steve, and if not, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the Logitech G-Cloud, a device that's piqued the interest of many in the gaming community, especially those who are keen on cloud and retro gaming. Special shout out to Logitech for sending this over for review. Now, this device has been on the market for about a year and a half, but it recently had a pricing drop which made Logitech's attempt to enter the gaming handheld market a little bit more interesting. When these were first released, they were priced in and around $349, which many found to be just a little bit too much for too little, but they have since dropped the price down to $299 now. Now, is the $50 price drop enough though? In this video, we're gonna try and find out, but first, let's unbox this device and explore a little. Now, you can tell while unwrapping the Logitech G-Cloud that the unboxing experience was something the company was trying to make fun. Inside of the box, you find the essentials neatly packed. The G-Cloud device itself, and then inside of a box, you've got a USB-C charging cable and a quick start guide. It's all very minimalist, which is something I do appreciate as it reflects a focus on the device itself rather than any sort of flashy packaging. Now, holding the G-Cloud for the first time, it feels robust, yet surprisingly sleek. It has a good weighty feel to it, even though it's thinner than I expected. The D-pad is pretty crisp, giving that satisfying click with each press, ideal for precision in more modern gameplay. The action buttons, on the other hand, have a smooth, almost velvety feel, responsive without being overly sensitive. The analog sticks are firm and really accurate, offering nuanced controls without any drift, and it does have the ability to adjust for potential dead zones depending on your personal preferences. Now, there is also the addition of a home button, which is great for easy navigation of the menu or to jump between different applications, and there's also a Logitech button which is used as a menu button in apps like the Xbox and PlayStation Remote Play applications. The ergonomic design of the G-Cloud is pretty noteworthy. The device is contoured to fit comfortably in your hands, making long gaming sessions effortless. The stacked shoulder buttons are the expected choice. They feel durable and responsive, although I think they could probably have made the L2 and R2 buttons just a little bit bigger for a slightly more comfortable grip. Now, taking a look around the device, the layout is well thought out. On the top, there is the volume control, a power switch, and a micro SD card for additional storage, but this does come with a caveat that we will get into later. The bottom houses dual firing speakers which provide clear and balanced sound, a 3.5mm audio jack for private listening, and a USB-C port for charging and data transfer. The placement ensures wires don't get in the way during handheld play, and because of the comfortable grips, your hands or your fingers do not block the audio grills either, which is a huge plus. Now, the device is going to be running on an Android 11 operating system, which gives you actually a ton of flexibility. You can install custom front ends if you want, or you can just use what they have. Now, interestingly, there are actually two different modes that you can switch between. Something called handheld mode that looks like a cleaner, scaled down UI with larger images of the apps and a bit of a nicer navigating menu, or you could use the standard Android tablet mode that looks just like, well, you guessed it, a normal tablet. Now, I personally prefer to run things on the tablet mode because it gives you full access to the entire Android ecosystem. This is really just a personal choice, and you can really choose what you like best. Now, another great feature included is control mapping. And if you're unfamiliar with that, this means that you can actually map the physical controls to apps or games that do not have normal controller support, or would often require you to use the touchscreen as the controller. Not everyone will use this, but it did come in handy playing around with some games that you download from the Google Play Store. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into some of the technical specs. The G-Cloud boasts a 7-inch 1080p IPS display with vibrant color reproduction and excellent viewing angles. It's powered by the Snapdragon 720G processor, which includes a dual-core setup running at 2.3 GHz and a hexa-core running at 1.8 GHz, balanced for both performance and battery efficiency. The Adreno 618 GPU supports a decent graphical performance essential for both cloud gaming and native games or emulation. There's 4 gigs of RAM and a hefty 6,000 mAh battery, promising long gameplay sessions. Now I got about 7 to 8 hours or so of continuous gameplay. Battery life on this thing is actually really good. In terms of storage, you're going to be getting 64 gigabytes of internal storage, expandable by that micro SD card that we discussed earlier. It is important to note that the G-Cloud at the present time only supports FAT32 format types for portable storage options. Now this means unless you mount the SD card as a permanent storage device inside of the handheld, you're going to be limited to file sizes less than 4 gigabytes, which is problematic on the emulation side of things. This was actually a big issue for me because I like to have pre-built Android SD cards that I can swap from one device to another depending on what handheld I want to play or take with me somewhere, or in this case, what device I'm reviewing. Now this should be something that can be fixed, and I do hope that Logitech adds exFAT support to the mix as well. Now focusing on gameplay, streaming games from services like Xbox Cloud Gaming, the Xbox app itself, or PlayStation Remote Play over Wi-Fi is impressively smooth, with no real noticeable input lag or anything along those lines. The hardware is certainly not the most powerful around, but it does a nice job overall. Streaming at home, I had absolutely no issues with games displaying at the full 1080p resolution, but I did find that when I was playing on a public network, reducing my streaming resolution down to 720p gave me a better experience with less lag and input delays. Now, native Android games from the Google Play Store also run actually fairly well, showcasing the versatility of the G-Cloud, but some of the more graphically intense games like Call of Duty Mobile had some slowdowns from time to time. Nothing that ruined the gameplay experience, but it certainly was not buttery smooth. Emulation is a big draw for the G-Cloud. Now let's go ahead and break this down by console with some short gameplay demos. Retro consoles like NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, PS1, and even PSP all ran pretty well perfectly, fully using the entire display resolution in upscaling. Using emulators like RetroArch or PPSSPP, these games ran exceptionally well, providing a nostalgic experience with the benefit of modern hardware.
At the same time to crouch. Press the X button while crouching to do a high jump.
For Nintendo 64, I ended up using Mupen 64 FZ Pro, which in my opinion is the best Nintendo 64 emulator that you can use on an Android system, and I did have the resolution bumped up to 1440 by 1080, maximizing the display's screen. Performance here was stellar with smooth frame rates and sharp visuals. Everything I played ran really, really well. Dreamcast is another console that runs pretty well flawlessly. Now I'm going to go ahead and be using the Redream emulator. This is the paid version, so I can actually set the resolution, and I set the resolution to 1920 by 1440. The games ran at full speed, no noticeable frame drops, no lag. It was just wonderful.
To the gap. All right, don't be thrown out, man. Wow. What? Go that way. Don't go. The soul of nightmare. You win! Battle 2, fight!
Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some Sega Saturn, which is highly requested. We're going to be using the standalone Yaba Sanshiro 2 Pro emulator that handles most games really well at native resolution, though there is some occasional graphical issues and some frame rate drops that do happen, but I'll let you guys take a peek for yourself. Next, we're moving on to some GameCube on the Dolphin emulator with the Vulkan backend at 2x resolution, and it actually struggles with some more demanding titles requiring some settings to be dialed back for stable performance.
The point is not to let them block your shot. The point is to get buckets.
Aether SX2 at native resolution shows the limit of the G-Cloud with PS2 emulation. Now, while some of the games were playable and some could even be bumped up in resolution, others suffer from significant slowdowns affecting the overall experience. So this is going to be a console that you really do have to play with in the settings to get right, depending on your title, and certainly not every game is going to run. Now we're going to go ahead and break things down with some pros and cons just as a summary. The pros are that the G-Cloud has excellent build quality, robust emulation support for most classic consoles, intuitive design, and reliable streaming capabilities, which I think is actually their biggest selling feature or their biggest marketing feature, so that's good. The cons, on the other hand, would be that the chipset could be more powerful, resulting in some inconsistent performance with native Android games and some of the more advanced emulation. I also think that the lack of file format support for the microSD card is a big issue and needs to be looked at. And then finally, the L2 and R2 buttons, they were a little bit bigger. That'd be great. It's not really a con, but it is something to mention. So is the price tag just a little too rich? The Logitech G-Cloud strikes an appealing balance for gamers looking to blend modern cloud gaming with a taste of nostalgia through emulation. While it faces challenges with more demanding emulation, its performance with less intensive applications and its overall design do make it a good option for those looking for a name brand cloud gaming option. And to be honest, this device is promoted as a cloud gaming handheld, and it does do that really well. So looking at it from that lens, I feel like the emulation performance is simply a bonus, and it may be worth picking up. Now, as always, I will leave some links in the description down below for you to learn a little bit more about the device or pick one up for yourself. But on the other hand, you may not be interested in just a cloud device, and there are other options on the market that are a little bit more expensive, but do the cloud gaming, and they can also do the more advanced emulation. But that is pretty much all I've got for you guys in this video. Now don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll speak to you guys again real soon.